This is Greg Pasternak from Riverside Life, and today I'm in Atascadero, California in the South Central Coast region, and I'm at a site, I think it's Atascadero Creek, but I'm not 100% on the name. One thing I already love about this site is it's full of mint, so I'm really enjoying just it's sort of refreshing and helps to energize me. Now for this site, I'm actually going to use my cheat sheets because it's a little bit more complicated. It shouldn't be that hard, but let me just look at the context here. So, as usual, we've got our valley floor here. Woo, going along here. Sorry about that. But anyway, the valley floor is up there. It's entrenched, like many of the streams we've seen in this region. Entrench. By metric, it's an unconfined valley, and in terms of the South Central Coast regional classification, it is classifying as unconfined. But for the statewide classification, it's coming out as CA8, which is a partially confined gravel cobble uniform. A lot of this isn't fitting so well. So first, gravel cobble, no. Let me just look at the metric here. The grain size we have here, well, it says D50, 22 millimeters, D84, 45 millimeters. That's probably, I don't know, even just looking at what I see in the creek, and I am right at the site, like from here, looking off into the distance there, this is the measurement site. So, that seems unusually coarse to me, unless there's something up around the bend I can't see. It could be that with all this fine sand and mud that's present here, sand, silt, clay, that, without doing a formal, sieving process and all the other complicated measurements, that the grain size just with a pebble count may not be enough to see that fineness. But anyway, that's the statewide classification. Partially confined is a little off, gravel cobble is a little off. Uniform's okay. There's definitely a little undulation here, but not as much as some of the other sites we've seen in the region, that's for sure. When we turn to the regional classification for this site, it's coming out as SE2, which is unconfined, low order sand gravel uniform. So yeah, unconfined, bang on. Low order relates to the fact that there's a very small catchment area at this site. 51 square kilometers, so yeah, relatively small. Sand, gravel, and uniform. And so yes, indeed, sand gravel fits a lot better with it. Uniform, that's the same between both. So let me just move away from the metrics and just look at the site. So we've already seen for sure it's entrenched. Where I'm standing, you can kind of see here, there's a bar of that's here, but I mean, really, this is just a bank slump. So I wouldn't put a whole lot of stock in that. It's not like it's only a riffle because there's been a big bank failure behind me, so that isn't very interesting. And when you have a site that's this entrenched and with fine sediment and not a lot of tree cover, then you're going to get that kind of bank slumping. So the bank slumping has pushed across the channel, backed water up, and created this. But from here upstream, you can see why it would just be uniform. And I'm actually going to spin the camera around so you can look in the other direction. I'm going to also pick it up and move it a little bit up onto the bank slump. But yeah, when you look downstream from here, and we look at the site here, you can see for sure that here's the channel, and it is just very uniform. Now, of course, this site is obviously highly impacted by human activities. It's been, had its floodplain taken over by urbanization, commercialization. It's entrenched, but we've seen throughout the region that entrenchment doesn't have to be due to direct suburban-urban influence, but in this case, it's certainly a contributor. So anyway, again, here we are in Atascadero Creek. And the regional classification is fitting way better as unconfined, low order, meaning like small creek, sand, gravel, uniform. Okay, so that's the site. Thanks for watching the video.